Happy Monday, Woodhaven family, and welcome back to the Journey 24/7 podcast. This is Chandler here with you again. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend, and I hope that you're ready to finish our study in Genesis this week before we jump into the Gospel of Matthew next week. So today we are picking up in Genesis chapter 46. We open up in this chapter with Joseph bringing his family to Egypt. So it says, starting in verse 1, so Israel took his journey. Remember, Israel is also Jacob, Joseph's father. So Israel begins this journey to Egypt. Along the way, it says, God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, I am the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. So what we're seeing here is again another instance of God reminding Jacob of his promise, that he would make him into a great nation. We saw that promise to Abraham, then to his son Isaac, then to his son Jacob, and now we're seeing Jacob being reminded again of this. Now we're going to see it mainly come through Judah, as it's through Judah that we actually get to Christ in the genealogy. But also clearly Judah wasn't the only important person in God's plan. He wasn't the only one that had an instrumental role, as we've seen Joseph, and just how instrumental of a role he has in bringing his family, his brothers, including Judah, to Egypt. Now we also see here a very, very personal promise. God himself saying, I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again. And Joseph's hands shall close your eyes. So he's saying, I'm going to be with you at all times. And that promise of I will also bring you up again is already promising towards the Exodus that we'll get into down the road. But it's also God promising Joseph that he is going to be okay, that he's going to get to see Joseph again. It says, Joseph's hands shall close your eyes, and that he will also be brought out again and buried in the promised land. He'd be buried in the land of Canaan. So God makes this promise to him, then he continues to head out to Egypt. We then take a brief break from the narrative to just see a brief synopsis of all of the descendants of Israel. Now, all of these, again, are going to be extremely helpful when we're studying later on that we can come back and look at. Now, the ones we do want to make sure we pay close attention to right here are Judah and Perez, as they are the two that are listed in the genealogy of Christ. So Judah then has Perez, and then Perez has his son that continues on to Christ. So just remember to keep that in mind, that we'll actually see that very soon next week when we study Matthew 1. We'll study that genealogy and see him along with many others that are leading us to Christ. So we're going to go on down and past the genealogy. We see where Jacob and Joseph are reunited. It says he had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph. Again, it's this setting Judah apart from the rest of the brothers even to show him as a leader, and also just setting us up for the special blessing that we're going to see him receive in Genesis 49 that we'll look at on Thursday. So he sends Judah ahead, and Joseph is preparing his chariot and went up to meet Israel, his father, in Goshen. It says he presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive. Just think about this moment. A father and son both thought they would never see each other again. Jacob thinks Joseph is dead. Joseph thinks that his father, Israel, is potentially dead, but if not, that there's no way that he'll ever find him again. They think this moment will never happen, but they embrace. It says that he wept on his neck a good while. And Israel says that he can die now in peace because he's seen his face and knows that his son is still alive. Then Joseph says to his brothers and to his father's household, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and will say to him, My brothers and my father's household, who are in the land of Canaan, have come to me. And the men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. When Pharaoh calls you and says, What is your occupation? You shall say, Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth even until now, both we and our fathers, in order that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. So Joseph knew he wanted his family living in Goshen, so he told his brothers and Pharaoh both. He told Pharaoh that his brothers were shepherds, and then he told his brothers to go and confirm this when Pharaoh would call him. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One, it's widely believed that there's a chance this would have just made them less threatening. They wouldn't have been any type of risk to national security because they're just measly shepherds. It is also theorized that one of the reasons he wanted them in Goshen was to keep them more separated from the Egyptian culture because it was more so on the outskirts of Egypt. Now, this was also to ensure that they were closer to where Joseph himself was, too, so that he could be close by for his family. So we finish up today's reading there, seeing that this is the plan that's in place. Tomorrow we're going to see this plan unfold, and they're going to go and speak with Pharaoh, and we're going to see how Joseph's plan here comes together. But that's going to wrap us up today. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow as we continue seeing what happens next in Genesis chapter 47.